Welcome to another episode of Angling Wisdom. I'm really glad that you came back for another week. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 spring walleye lures. So come along and check out what they are.
Welcome to the Angling Wisdom Podcast, the freshwater fishing podcast for multi-species anglers.
I've known Patrick for quite a few years, and there are a lot of people out there. It's an ego-driven industry. It's all about them. To find somebody that really wants to go find anglers for all different species, to bring them in, to give everybody a voice. This is the difference between what Patrick's doing and a lot of other shows. Is there's only a special few out there.
I have a very special guest all the way from Wapiti, Wyoming.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jim Zumbo. It's nice to actually spend 2.5 days fishing.
With a master angler like you, are you kidding me? This is a real treat.
Get ready for the culmination of angling wisdom and fun. I'm your host, Patrick Edwards, and this is the Angling Wisdom Podcast.
All right. So number 5 on my list is one that probably won't surprise you too much. I talked about this in a fairly recent episode, but you should have some kind of a rattle bait when going for walleyes in the springtime. The weather is getting warm. The fish are getting more active. You can cast this little guy a mile and reel it back nice and slow. You can pop it up off the bottom. If you're fishing out of a boat, you can kind of rip it off the bottom and let it go back. You can do all kinds of different things with these little rattle baits, but if you don't have a rattle bait in your arsenal, I highly recommend this one. This is a PK Ridge Rattler, and what I like about them is they're very heavy. They have the weight forward, so they do track really well along the bottom. Just make sure you're not fishing anything too snaggy, or you might lose these guys. I've lost a few of them. What I like to do is snap jig them off the bottom, especially in sandy areas. So some kind of crankbait like this one, or if you're trolling, another good option is like this one. This is the Baby Bass Color PK Ridgeline Gen 2. And I really like this one in the springtime, going a little bit slower. Typically, if the water's in the 40s on the temperature side, you probably want to troll this guy a little bit slower, but this particular crank works really, really well for me on Boysen, Keyhole, different places that I frequent. And so I like to use this guy in the springtime, summer, all the time. In the summer, I crank it up to like 2.5 miles an hour, but this is a fantastic bait. So make sure you have some cranks in your box like these. Again, this one for more casting really, really far. You can fish from shore, from a boat. This one's primarily a boat fishing one, but you can also fish it from the shore as well. But these work super well for walleyes. So these would be number 5 on my list.
Fellow anglers, it's time to up your game with PK Lures, crafted to help you catch the fish of your dreams. Whether it's the classic PK Spoon, the Flutterfish, or the reliable PK Ridgeline crankbait, PK Lures has the perfect lure for any fishing scenario. No matter if you're fishing on the ice or in open water, PK Lures has a wide range of lure options to help you catch walleye, trout, panfish, and more. These aren't just lures, they're proven performers. Designed by master angler Pat O'Grady and tested by some of the best anglers in the world, they are trusted for results. From the hard water to open lakes and rivers, PK Lures delivers. Find your perfect lure today at pklure.com and use the code WISDOM for 20% off of your order.
All right, moving on to number 4, and one of my favorite ways to fish in the springtime in general is the spoons. I really enjoy like the PK Flutterfish. Some of these more metallic colors tend to shine really well in the springtime. So here's the gold one. This is a 1/2 ounce. This one I've been able to use, and my kids as well, fishing at a specific spot from shore every spring for like the last 10 years. And what's fun is you can cast it super far, let it fall in the water column, let it sink, rip it up and let it sink, rip it up and let it sink. You catch a lot of big rainbows, browns, and walleyes on this. So this one is kind of fun because when you get a hit, you don't know exactly what it is until it starts fighting. And sometimes even then you're not really sure. So this one is a great one. It's kind of like a smashed peanut shape and design, but it's a really great fish catcher for me over the years. I like using it through the ice. I like using it in open water. This one's a copper color. This is one of the older ones. I really like the design. It falls super slow. That tends to get walleyes kind of fired up, and trout for that matter. So I really like these. If you don't have any of these in your arsenal, in your tackle box, you're missing out. You should have some of those. And then, of course, the rattle spoon. This is the Wonder Bread color. And what I like about it, you can see that rattle chamber on the back. These make a little bit more noise. I have a funny story about one of these. I had my daughter fishing one of these with, it was like a fire tiger glow color, and she was popping it back and she got snagged and it popped off and it landed on her head and it looked like jewelry hanging off of the top of her cold weather cap. It was pretty funny looking, but she also caught some nice walleyes on one of these. So these are really good as well. You can snap jig these from the boat too. So if you're going about like 0.8 miles an hour, just kind of let the spoon hang back towards the bottom, rip it up off the bottom or mid-water column, depending on what you want to do. Rip it up, let it go back, rip it up, let it go back, and you'll feel that fish when they hit it because they hit it really, really hard. So that would be number 4 is these spoons. All right. Number 3. This is one that you definitely want to try, is some kind of a paddle tail. And the reason that I say that is paddle tails work really, really well for walleyes pretty much whenever the water is open. I always have some paddle tails in my box. There's lots of different designs and tails that you can buy. This one is a Walleye Assassin, which I really like. And then, of course, I'm using like a VMC Moon Eye jig. I just really like that aspirin head shape. Seems to work really, really well. And what's nice is you can cast this out really far. A lot of people ask me, well, how do you fish these things? Well, it's pretty simple. Cast it out super far, let it sink down to the bottom, and then just slow roll it along the bottom. Or you can cast it out, snap it, let it drop, snap and let it drop, and just kind of reel it in that way, pretty erratic. Really, it's kind of however you want to fish it. You can fish the entire water column with something like this. You can fish it fairly shallow, cast it out. As soon as it hits the water, start tracking it back, or middle, or the bottom. So that would be my third option. I really, really, really like these paddle tails. They work year round. And anytime the walleyes are feeding, they're probably going to key in on something like that. Number 2 is one that I really enjoy. And that's these like grub tails with the VMC Moon Eye jig. So this one, these are the curly bones. So these are a power bait product, and my dad was actually using these last year and had some great success on the walleyes. I was using just a power worm and having good success as well. So you can see kind of the difference. They're not a whole lot different. They're about the same length. And what I like to do sometimes, if they're really finicky, if the fish are just really being a pain, so I'll put a little bit of something, some scent on there, like, you know, a night crawler. You can put a minnow on there, whatever you want to do. But these two work really well. You can work them pretty slow along the bottom. You get a lot of action out of these tails. So when the fish are a little bit more negative or not as active, I guess, this is a really good option for walleyes, especially in the springtime. But you can use it year round. So I highly recommend these two because I know they work. We absolutely hammered the fish last year. It was a lot of fun. So that would be my second option. But one thing I do want to throw in there is, like, some days, you know, these plastics are fantastic and they work really well. And other days you just want to have like a natural minnow or night crawler on your hook. So sometimes it's just better to go all natural and go to the bait shop, get some minnows, get some night crawlers, whatever, and tip them on your jig. But jigs are a must-have. If you're a walleye angler, you know this. Jigs are a must-have in your arsenal.
Whether you're deep in the backcountry or gearing up for your next hunt, Kifaru has your back, quite literally. As someone who has broken their back twice, I can speak to the unparalleled performance of the Kifaru packs and frames. From their industry-leading backpacks built for extreme durability to ultralight shelters that withstand the punishing elements, Kifaru gear is engineered for those who demand the best. Customizable, rugged, and made right here in the USA, Kifaru is trusted by hunters, hikers, and explorers who refuse to compromise. Visit Kifaru.net and discover why Kifaru is the ultimate name in outdoor adventure.
My favorite way to catch walleye, so number one, by far my favorite way, is with suspending cranks. That doesn't shock anybody because that's how I love to fish, especially at night. I love twitching these through the water column and feeling a fish just come up and smoke it when you pause it. This has always been my number one favorite lure up until probably about 2 years ago, and this is called a Smithwick Suspending Rattling Rogue, and this is the threadfin shad color. By far my favorite color, and I really like these, and I've caught lots of my biggest walleyes on these. But there is one drawback, and one thing I don't really like, and that is sometimes these baits come out of the box and they need to be tuned. And what I mean by that is sometimes this little front anchor point here that hooks onto the split ring is bent. And I've never understood why they don't correct that in the manufacturing process. Because like if I'm using a Husky jerk or X-Wrap, I don't have that problem. But unfortunately, that is an issue. On about, I don't know, usually when I buy them, I buy 5 or 6 at a time, and usually 2 to 3 of them have an issue. So sometimes you have to tune them, and to do that, you just simply take, a pair of pliers, or they actually make straighteners and tuners to help kind of put that where it should be. But you got to kind of be careful because you can actually mess up your bait because this little piece is only anchored in about this far. And so you got to be really careful when you do that. The nice thing about these Smithwick Rogues, though, is they catch a ton of fish. They have super sticky hooks, and they have a very loud rattle, which you can hear there. And so these are super awesome for walleyes. And they also have a little bit wider wobble. So if you were to compare, so I'll pick up this Rogue. You compare the bills, you can tell that they're just a little bit different. The Rogues is a little bit deeper diving and a little bit wider. It catches a little more water. So you get a little bit more wobble out of this guy than you do out of this guy. So the Smithwick Rogue is definitely in the suspending crank category, one of my favorites all time. But man, this last year, this HJ12 Husky jerk was just an absolute killer. This lure right here in my hand caught lots and lots of walleyes and lots of really nice ones too. And it held up really, really well considering how many fish engulfed this thing. So I do love this. And one of the things too is like all the hooks are super sticky. They come running true out of the box, which is a big deal for me. And for whatever reason, this pink color just seems to really shine. So I have several of these. I also have a Wonder Bread color and a few others. But fantastic lures. You can buy them in different sizes, which is nice. If you want to get a little bit smaller ones or a little bit bigger ones, you can definitely do that. But the Rapala HJ12 Husky Jerk is a mainstay in my box now. Same company. This is another one of my favorites. This is the X-Wrap, and this one is fantastic. This is a number 8, and that's my favorite size for walleyes. Some people think it's a little bit small, and I catch them on 10s as well. But I really like this one because I can cast it super far. It's got a special weighting system in it for long distance casts. But what I like about it is that you can work it really, really quick through the water. You can work it really slow through the water, and it suspends, and it suspends perfectly. And I don't know, this little tail here seems to do a little bit of extra attracting, but my favorite colors on this one are the Glass Ghost for sure. And then, probably the silver and black is up there as well. But the Glass Ghost, by far, the white one, is my favorite. They also make one that's a purple ghost. That's another one that I've caught lots of walleyes on. But this lure is awesome. It's also a crossover bait because it catches lots of trout and bass and all kinds of other stuff. So this is a must-have in your box.
For me, fishing isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. And every angler deserves a rod as unique as their journey. That's where TB Custom Rods comes in. Handcrafted custom fishing rods built to your exact specifications. Perfectly balanced and tailored to to your style. Work with Trapper and choose your design, select your components, and feel the difference of a rod made just for you. Visit tbcustomrods.com to get started on your custom rod today.
And then this guy, this is another brand, but fantastic lure. This is the Dynamic J-Spec. And the reason I like Dynamic is these lures work really well for walleyes. I was a little skeptical at first because I'm like, well, it's not that different than an X-Wrap when you look at it. I mean, you look at these side by side, they don't look all that different. But I've been out there fishing at night, and sometimes this one catches more, sometimes this one catches more. So it just kind of depends on the fish and kind of their attitude. But similarly, like when I talked about the Rogue and the Husky Jerk, this bill on this Dynamic is just a tiny bit bigger, and it catches a little more water, gets a little bit more action. I do like the pink color the best. This one's more of a crawfish color, but I do like this one in the springtime. Seems to work super well. And I've also caught some absolute giant rainbows and browns on those. So number one for sure for me is the Suspending crank. And the only reason is it's not that it catches more fish than, say, the jig and the paddle tail or the jig and the grub, but what I like about this is the experience of like ripping it through the water and pausing it and then feeling a fish come up and crush it. I don't know why. Like, I love feeling the same thing with like fish hitting jigs too, but for some reason I'm in love with these things. So if you're going to get out there this spring and you want to catch some walleyes, I highly recommend these Suspending cranks. Again, second in line, definitely the VMC Moon Eye jig with these curly tails from Berkley. I mean, I just think that they're just a fantastic option. I'll try to put some pictures in this episode so you can see some of the fish we caught this last spring. And I can't wait to get out there. It's going to be a lot of fun catching fish this spring. And I do want to talk about another option that I'm going to add to my spoon kit. And that is PK just came out with these Sonar Spoons. So here's a couple of the Sonar Spoons for you. So a gold one and a blue one. And what I like about these is they've got this like bait holder here, and then they've got a stinger hook off the back. So I can envision myself putting either a minnow or a plastic or a night crawler or anything like that and being able to cast out to them. The reason these are called a Sonar Spoon is the whole purpose is for fishing like forward-facing sonar or just like pitching cliffs or just your favorite spots that you know hold fish. So the idea is to get your bait on there, toss these out to them, and then work them back and be able to watch and see the fish come up and eat it. And I'm hoping to do that on Flaming Gorge. I was actually just talking to Shane, the guide down there. We're going to try these for Lakers and who knows what else. So I'm pretty excited about that. But check out the new Sonar Spoon from PK. Go to pklure.com. You can get 20% off if you use the code WISDOM. So those are my top 5. I hope you get out there and do some fishing. If you do, I'd love to hear from you. You can check us out at anglingwisdom.com. Definitely send me a comment if you'd like. But until next time, I'll see you out on the water.
Angling Wisdom has been brought to you by TB Custom Rods, Kufaru, and PK Lures. Don't forget to subscribe to Angling Wisdom on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Also go to anglingwisdom.com for more fishing content. Until next time, I'll see you out on the water.